What is touting and canvassing anyway? Hi, I'm Tasneem, founder of the Private Practice Growth Club. Welcome to my channel where I share tips, tools, tutorials, and general information pertaining to starting and growing a private practice in South Africa. In this video, I will be talking about Rule 3 in Booklet 2 of the HPCSA Ethics Booklet, which talks about touting and canvassing. I will unpack the definition and what that means in practical terms for you and your practice marketing efforts. Let's dive in. When you ask the HPCSA for guidance on advertising or making one's services known, they often refer to Rule 3 in Booklet 2 of the Ethics Guidelines, which states that a practitioner shall be allowed to advertise his or her services or permit, sanction, or acquiesce to such advertisement, provided that the advertisement is not unprofessional, untruthful, deceptive, or misleading, or causes consumers unwarranted anxiety that they may be suffering from any health condition. And Rule 3.2, which says that a practitioner shall not canvass or tout or allow canvassing or touting to be done for patients on his or her behalf. That's it. That is the extent of the black ink on white paper in the ethics booklets that are meant to guide you on what is and is not permitted when making your services known. Now, I understand that the rules are purposely general in nature, as it would be impossible for them to consider every scenario of making one's services known, especially in the modern digital economy. However, the subjective nature of these rules really does leave a lot open to interpretation. For example, the line, provided that the advertisement is not unprofessional. Unprofessional according to whose interpretation? According to the professional practice portfolio of the HPCSA, flyers are not an acceptable form of advertising because it is unprofessional for the health profession. Say what? But this is a whole discussion for another day, and that's not what we're talking about here. So that I will address in another YouTube video. Now, I can understand that bulk distribution of flyers can be perceived as tacky or overly commercialized and has been described as a form of canvassing, which brings me then to Rule 3.2, which is about touting and canvassing and what this video is really about. So what is touting and canvassing anyway? So the HPCSA booklet does provide some definitions in the booklets, where it says that canvassing means conduct which draws attention either verbally or by means of printed or electronic media to one's personal qualities, superior knowledge, quality of service, professional guarantees, or best practice. In other words, you should avoid using words like best, most experience, or most effective treatment methods, and you should definitely avoid making statements that guarantee results. Now, the HPCSA booklet does not provide any further guidelines on the type of conduct one can or cannot use to draw attention to one's practice. However, if we look at the definition of canvassing in a socio-political context, where canvassing is defined as the systematic initiation of direct contact with individuals, then one can understand why the bulk distribution of flyers at traffic lights or in mailboxes are undesirable. The question then is, when creating copy for your website, your social media bios, health education pamphlets, or any other place where you are telling people about your practice, how do you ensure that the language you use does not amount to canvassing? So there are 4 questions your marketing copy should answer, and there is one question you need to ask yourself after answering all these other 4 questions. The first question is, who do you serve? For example, you work with kids on the spectrum, or you work with adults with ADHD. The second question you ask yourself is, what do you do? Here you will talk about what problem you help people solve. But you want to be careful not to make any promises. It's a statement of what you desire to help with. Example, I help kids who want to be better at making friends at school. You're not making any promises, you're stating who it is that you help. Then you want to know, how do you do what you do? Here is where you can talk about your therapeutic approach. Example, I use sensory integration to help children develop sensory regulation tools that will help them better manage their behavior at school. You can hear that there's no guarantee made that it will help. It's what your desire or your intention is. The words you use in your advertising that answer these questions then must fit into one main criteria. If it describes you or your practice, it should be an objective statement or fact. The second you use language describing yourself or your abilities using subjective language, it could be construed as canvassing. So can you say you are the best, most effective treatment strategies? No, because that is your personal opinion, not a fact. Can you say you are sensory integration trained, and can you share what this modality entails or what research evidence there is to support its effectiveness with the type of patients you serve? Yes, you may, because it is factually true and sharing evidence-based research. Then we have the word touting. Now, according to the HPCSA, touting means conduct which draws attention either verbally or by means of electronic or printed media to one's offers, guarantees, or material benefits that do not fall in the categories of professional services or items but are linked to the rendering of a professional service or designed to entice the public to the professional practice. That is a big mouthful, and what does it mean? A question that comes up a lot on social media is, are we allowed to advertise our rates, offer discounts, or have promotional pricing? Well, according to the definition of touting, advertising promotional rates such as Mother's Day special, 10% off all treatments, or off all rates, or promoting book 5 sessions and get 1 free, that is definitely not allowed. You also may not use services not related to your professional service as a means to lure or entice people into your practice. For example, you can't advertise that moms get a free coffee and Wi-Fi while their little one is in therapy. This is not to say you may not offer these perks in your rooms or have the information about your facilities on your website, but you may not use this as the focal point of attention for your advertising. And what about sharing your rates? Well, your rates are your rates. This is not the same as an offer. It is a legal requirement in any case that every practice has a billing policy, and this policy must be publicly available to anyone who wants to consult with your practice. So yes, of course, you may share your rates. It is also a requirement of the Consumer Commission that a customer, which includes patients, has the right to know fees and rates upfront before making a purchasing decision. The key is that the information must be readily available and easy to find, but must not be used as the hero of your advertising. It must not be used in comparative advertising or flaunted in a way that is intended to entice someone to book with you purely based on price. An example would be a magazine ad with your hourly rate clearly displayed as the hero content of your ad, or making it out to be that you are a cheaper service than your competition. I hope this clarifies for you what canvassing and touting is and offers a little bit more guidance as to what you are and are not allowed. I know the flyer issue is going to be a bit of a contentious issue, but I am still in the process of getting legal guidance on this matter in order to get better clarity, and will make a separate video on that. So if you don't want to miss that, don't forget to hit subscribe and then the bell to be notified when I post new videos. And remember, just as a disclaimer, I'm not a legal expert, so nothing that I share is meant to be taken as legal advice. It's guidance based on information that I've found. But if you are uncertain of anything, the best is to consult with a legal professional. Ideally, your medical practice insurance provider should be able to guide you on what you can and cannot do. But I hope you find this video useful nonetheless. Thanks for watching.